It all started in high school. I liked to party, I liked to drink with my friends a lot. I also had an eating disorder that was starting to get much worse. It came out of nowhere. Caught me by surprise. Um, it was a very shameful thing. I was not proud of that. And on the other side of that, I also like to drink and party. Um, my mindset when I was going to college was maybe I'll go to school, maybe I'll try some classes, see what that's like, but I just really wanted to go party in college. I remember going to college, I moved in, I had a case of beer in my stuff that I was moving to my dorm room, so that was my attitude from day one. I don't remember going to my dorm room drinking, but that's what would have had to have happened because the entire campus was virtually a ghost town. People were gone for winter break. Now we would have had to find some people. I'm not sure if I found people or if I did it myself. But with my blood alcohol level, I would have had to have started drinking pretty soon after I delivered the letter. And I'm not sure why I had decided to drive home that day, and that I can't even begin to think. This is where the story gets a little weird. I'm not sure. Like I said, I have no reason, no motive to why I would have decided to go home that night. But I did. And I headed back from Eau Claire to Antigo, heading east. Keep that in mind. Heading east back to Antigo. Now the neighbors, this is all hearsay. The neighbors, I think they may have heard my car drive by with loud music. I never really drove fast, and I never really had played my music loud in my car. I was not that kind of person. But that matters because I crashed my car heading back west, which means heading back west approximately a half a mile from my house, right where the speed limit would turn from 35 to 55, and there was a new bypass that made a sharp curve instead of going straight. Speed limit, regardless of the speed limit, I was going somewhere around 100 miles an hour, which is unlike me anyway. This is all what I'm imagining. I don't remember this at all, but I would have had to have started at the edge of town and just gunned it to be at the speed I was at when the accident happened. The accident happened like a quarter mile outside of town, where my car flipped 3 times. The back window popped out clean. Doctors believe I broke my neck on impact. The first nosedive my car took, my head snapped back. It separated my spine from my skull. It left me with my head being held on by the blood vessels and my skin. And at that point, any bump could have killed me. Any nudge to the head, shot to the head, if I hit anything, it would have severed my spinal cord, which was, my neck was broken in the area that controlled the heartbeat and the breathing. And I was not buckled up. And I was ejected out of the back of the car, which I said the back window popped out clean. By the grace of God, because if there were glass there, I would have hit it, I would have been dead immediately. I somehow managed to not hit anything on the way out of the back of my car, and I was set down in the grass, and it was in the snow. I also broke my leg in half. femur. I had numerous internal injuries. I had a collapsed lung, something with my bladder. I broke my shoulder, and to this day my shoulder is still the most bothersome injury. Everything else was fine. I had a very bad brain injury that I was airlifted to Wausau Aspirants Hospital, where they immediately addressed the internal injuries. The following day, that was that night, the following day they did surgery on my shoulder. They pinned my arm back into my shoulder. The day after that, they put a rod in my femur to make my leg not be split in half anymore. The third day, because they had to wait for me to be stable and for my brain swelling to go down, they had to perform an extremely rare surgery that would fuse my skull to my spine. It was the base of my skull. My first 4 vertebrae had to be fused, had to be attached with rods, and bone fragments taken from my hip, mashed up and pasted together. This surgery is incredibly rare because nobody lives to have it done. Now my parents and my family wanted to know where the best place to get this done is, because it's extremely rare, because you're so vulnerable at this time. You can be killed during surgery easily. So they wanted to know where the best place to get this done is, and it just so happened that there was a surgeon that was in Wausau. He was a traveling surgeon. He's from Boston. Happened to be in Wausau at this time, and he said that I've done 2 or 3 of these surgeries. I'm not seeing it as bad, but you're not going to find anybody else that's done one of that. So we were in the right place at the right time, and it's the best a very bad situation could be. We ended up getting help from the house surgeon, Dr. Beaumont, which is the assistant. He became my primary doctor throughout the recovery process. The flying surgeon, Dr. Will, I've never met him. I did talk to him on the phone one time, but Dr. Beaumont was my primary doctor. He's a great doctor. I ended up naming my dog Beaumont. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself again. The surgery was done successfully. I had to be, it was a 13-hour long surgery. It took them 2 hours to position me, simply because of the nature of my neck injury. Everything had to be done right here. So that's all done, and well, everything went as planned. So now I had to begin rehabbing. I wasn't even at the point where I could rehab my physical, my bodily injuries. I had to rehab my brain. So when I was at the point where I could rehab myself, I spent 3 weeks in Wausau, in the ICU, not rehabbing, just kind of laying there, recovering. When I was stable enough to go to rehab, I spent 2 months in Columbia St. Mary in Milwaukee, where I would do therapy every day. I would have the weekends off. I do therapy every day for like 6 hours. I would do physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. Now, speech therapy was basically like, it started like kindergarten homework kind of stuff. And retrain my brain, redo my cognition completely. They're saying I'm making progress. I feel like I'm making progress, but like my mind's not in a state where I can tell that I'm making progress. I'm thinking very, very, very simply, yeah, and I didn't see I mean, it's not as bad as it sounds. I couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. No, again, that's not like I was all depressed. I was having I was very happy. But like chronologically, I didn't have a timeline in my head. Like I didn't see anything outside of the hospital. So to the point where I graduated from that hospital to an inpatient facility in southern Wisconsin called Clearview, where I would live, do therapy every day for as much, if not more, than I was doing in Milwaukee. But it was not quite a hospital setting. And I got to go home every weekend, which was a vacation. And I had not been home in a long time. The first time I got to go home, I got to see the house, I got to see the things that I knew. It was incredible. And I believe that God has given me a second chance and a chance to show people what things like this can do and what can happen. I mean, I have drove drunk several times. I have made poor choices several times. And like I said, I had never paid consequences for it. I had thought that I was invincible. I had thought that I was impervious to consequences because I had done it for so long and so many things. But this put me back to reality. This gave me a second chance. This gave me the opportunity to show people who have the same mindset that I have, 18 and dumb, thinking I can do whatever I want to do. That stuff like this can happen. And I will pay for the rest of my life for this, for everything that I did do. Because I do believe that this was just a culmination of all the stupid stuff that I did. I paid for all of that job. What got me through this entire process was my family. And anybody that thinks when they're making poor choices that they're affecting only themselves, you're wrong. I had thought that I had become a very selfish person, focusing only on what I wanted to do and what I wanted. I did not realize what I was causing other people until my sister had flown home from Georgia a couple times to see me in the hospital. My brother was willing to quit school to stay with me in the hospital. My parents virtually quit their job to stay by my bedside in the hospital. At that point, I understood how much family means to me, how much family means to anybody, and how important family is to people. And I do believe that everything was strategically placed by God, by the divine, for this to work out how it worked out. I'm Zane Waldvogel, and this is my story.